Unplugged. I'm so excited. We get to talk with Diedrich and Allison Hanson this week. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
So Margaret Thorne also had a release this week, but she was called away. So we're going to catch up with her next time. But we will talk about her book because it's a brand new book and a brand new series after we get through the other ladies. So let's start in order this week, and we'll start with JM's book, which is A Duke's Keeper, and it's book 2. Can you tell us about that one?
Okay, so book 2, A Duke's Keeper, it is a prequel to book 1, and it is also a continuation of the plot. So there is a time skip that happens about the middle part. So, I mean, it can be read on its own. The whole story is there, but I would definitely recommend reading book 1 before book 2, simply because there is an overarching plot that goes through the entire series. But it is actually the siblings of our hero and heroine from book 1.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a family affair. And I don't know, it sets a different tone than book 1. Book 1 was very much adventure and mischief and mayhem, whereas book 2 it's a little bit more somber. It has some darker themes, and it definitely touches on a couple more realistic Victorian life. Ooh. Especially those living in the slums, which Camille, she actually lives in the Rookeries.
Oh, wow.
But I like to say, my joke is when people ask me about my book, if anyone has seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, it's a little scary, but mostly upbeat. So I try to put as much humor as I can. There's a lot of witty banter. There's definitely the butting of heads that, I mean, people will know from book 1, but for her, it's a story about growth and learning how to trust and learning that she deserves happiness.
Oh, love it.
And for him, it's this redemption story. Because again, in book 1, for anybody who's read book 1, Renard treats his sister a little abominably. Oh. But he has a very good reason for it. He pushes people away for a very good reason. He has this dark stuff from his past that he really regrets, and he pushes everyone away to keep them safe. So for him, it's, of course, she's going to knock some sense into him. He's going to teach her that she deserves happiness and that, she deserves to be taken care of. So I don't know. It's a different kind of story, and I love the idea of inherently flawed people, but they're finding the perfect person for them.
Yeah. Watching characters grow through that kind of growth, where that the person that they're with is the one that's actually going to see them for who they are and help them make that last little step that they need to do is great. I love that. I think that idea of seeing someone, really seeing someone is the reason that we read and write romance, because that's, like love is having somebody actually see you for who you really are and remember you when you don't remember yourself. So
it's not the being perfect, it's being perfect for someone.
Yes.
Yeah. Flaws and all is still perfect for that other person.
Perfectly flawed is how I like to put them.
Yes.
Exactly. So I have to ask, the heroine has a plate of food on the cover. So what's up with that?
She lives in the Rookeries. She grew up in the Rookeries, so the woman appreciates food. So tarts do come into play in the book, and then you'll get to meet some new characters too. I love a good side character. We have a notorious madam that comes into play. We have a gang leader that comes into play. I like my side characters, and again, they all love food. So, and so do I. So that's probably why they do.
Yeah. Well, I also love a heroine who loves food too.
Yes.
Good tart is a good tart. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it sounds like so much fun. And then it's the Dark Duke series. There's one more in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It'll be Percy's story, which is my absolute favorite. And I think from everything I've read from other readers, he's everybody else's favorite too. His story is going to be something completely different, and she is going to put him through the ringer. So something to look forward to. And it will, the plot will continue, and it will stop with A Dark Duchess, which will be coming out here in July.
Oh, great. We don't have to wait too long for that one then.
Yeah.
So the next book that comes out this week was Allison's book, and it's Discovering Her Earl, and it's book 2 in Scots and Scoundrels. Can you tell us about that one?
Sure. Yeah. So book 2 is an Earl, Julian, who he was a side character in book 1. He was a friend of the Duke from Winning Her Duke. And he has just turned 29. So he's a year away from his 30th birthday. And he gets notice from his solicitor that his father has left demands that he be married before his 30th birthday, or everything that's not entailed is going to go to this horrible neighbor. And so there's mines involved and this horrible, he's the notorious bad guy. He doesn't care about anyone's safety, and he had children in the mines working and things. So Julian had protected everyone. And so if he doesn't go through with what his father has demanded, even though his father's been dead for like 10 years, then he will lose the mines and they'll revert back to this person who won't treat the workers properly. So he has a lot of motivation to get married from that side, but absolutely no desire to actually get married. And there is a caveat as well, because he not only has to be married, but he has to be married to a proper woman based on what his father's rules are. And there's someone who's going to make that decision as to what his father's request for proper would be. So he is kind of facing the last year of freedom, and so he's going to live it up. And he has always given money to like expeditions in Egypt and things like that. And so he wants to actually go on a dig. The problem is the person that he is going to go with, he kind of wronged them unbeknown to him. He wronged them a long time ago, and she doesn't like him at all. And she does not want him to come on the dig or help him or talk to him. So it's an enemies to lover kind of thing. Enemy on her part. He doesn't remember anything about their altercation in the past. So there is a lot of
like he doesn't care, like when he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what he did. Yeah. So there is still witty banter between the two of them, because he's trying to, tease out what he did. And she doesn't want to tell him and things like that. So, but it was a lot of fun writing this book because of all of the research into Egypt, and especially in that time period and things like that. I hadn't written, from that. Normally we're in London the whole time. So this was fun. I got to, Google the pyramids, and you can like see them on Google Maps and find where they are and everything. So that was kind of fun.
Cool. Was there anything in particular that you learned that was interesting about it?
Well, I did learn a lot about archaeology, and especially from that time period. Like so much about archaeology is more modern, but some of the things they did back then, and the fact that the pyramids weren't really all that visible back then. So, and they didn't have all their names and things like that. So, a lot of them were like covered up with sand, like really deep. So they weren't as tall because of all the sand and things.
So you're gonna have to tell us more about this, because this is something I know nothing about.
Yeah. Some of them were broken and things. I mean, they've done a lot of, I guess, reconstruction and things of them. So, and they didn't have really ways to really know what they were even looking at. So they actually caused a lot of damage while they were investigating things, not knowing that they were breaking things or doing something that was damaging, because you just didn't know back then. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, so cool. So this is book 2. Book 3 is the next one in the series, and the last?
Yes. Yep. Book 3 is the last one, is Tempting Her Viscount, and that's on pre-order now and will come out in June. So.
Oh, cool.
And that's the third friend of the Dukes. So yeah.
Can you tell us a tiny bit about that? Just enough to get us interested?
Sure. So Kit is the friend who is most mischievous, and their fourth friend, his sister is involved, and it's actually it's kind of like best friends or brother's best friend kind of thing. But she's actually the older sister, and he's younger than her, and they've been friends for a very long time, and they accidentally find themselves in a masquerade ball together, and it escalates and they don't realize it's them. So kind of hidden identities. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. They do find out kind of fun in a humorous way that they were with each other and didn't realize it.
Oh, I love the setup for the series and also for both books. It sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun to have the enemies to lovers and then the friends to lovers. Friends to lovers is one of my favorite because there is a lot of history between them, and they joke around more, and there's that bond. So that's fun to write.
And somebody has to jump first. Like there's that.
Yes.
Like, I mean, somebody always has to jump first, but when your whole friendship is on the line, the somebody jumping first carries like a whole additional weight to it, which I think makes the story like have that much more.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this, it's fun, but in this book, they both jump at the same time and then find out it was them later. So it's too late to care about jumping because the jumping's already been done.
I love it. Sounds like so much fun. So the third book that came out this week is Margot Thorne's book, and it's a perfect match. And it's the first book in a new series, brand new series, called The Cricket Club, which is it's about women's cricket, which I think is just like fascinating. And I was reading the tagline when it came through, and one of the tags was "There's no crying in cricket," but nobody said anything about kissing, and that just seemed like so much fun. So I'll make sure to put the link to that book as well in the comments with the other two books so that you can get all of them if you don't have them already. But I thought since we had some extra time this week, and because people are probably tired of me asking about everybody's favorite books, because I ask about favorite books and then I make a list, and then I add to my never-ending TBR pile. I thought maybe we could talk about ways you refill your creative wells. Like, when you write, it feels like you're I don't know about for you guys, but I get so excited about the story in the beginning, and you kind of get so immersed in it and caught in the writing process, and then by the time you're done, it feels like it's been all sucked out of you. And in order to keep going and write the next book, you have to have a way to fill things up. So I was wondering if we could talk about a little bit about the things that you do to keep your creative energy going, or things like that.
Allison, do you want to go first? If I start, I'm not going to stop.
Okay. Sure. I'll go ahead. So I, as far as the well, I read, and I know we said we're not talking about favorite books.
No, but that's fine.
But yeah. But basically, so I have a day job, a project manager during the day. So I write in the evenings, and then when I'm done writing, I read something else, usually completely different from what I'm writing. So it allows me to kind of turn my brain off and stop writing my story, so I can sleep. So my brain's not still working on a story. But around that, I play the drums. And
like percussion or like drum kit drums?
Drum kit drums. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I used to write contemporary romance, and I was doing a story, and I don't think it ever came out. But the hero was a drummer, and so I was doing research about drumming, and I wanted to learn how to do it. So yes.
Do you ever play out anywhere, or do you just play for yourself?
Nope, just my husband plays the guitar, so we have our own like little band in our family room. So it was just kind of one of those things that I wanted to learn how to do, and really the only way to do it is to buy drums and do it. So I took some lessons and things. I'm in no way like professional drummer, but I can
So
hold a beat, and that's really the important part. And then during the summer, I have a motorcycle, and I like to go on like long motorcycle rides and things like that. My husband and I used to take really long rides. We're from central Pennsylvania. And so I've ridden my motorcycle the whole way as far as Maine and Canada, and then out as far as like Indiana, and then down Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia. So the whole place where we could drive in a week, basically. So, yeah.
Remind me again, where in central Pennsylvania?
Near Hershey, so
Oh,
chocolate town.
yeah. I'm from Lancaster County originally, so.
Yes, that's right. I do remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love riding on the back of the motorcycle.
Okay.
Because I think that's a great way. I plotted a whole series that way, because you can just sit back there, and you've got kind of the road going past you, and all the smells, and it's much more tactile than driving. Like
Yes.
when you go past cut grass, you've gone past cut grass, kind of thing. But I love that kind of having that kind of time where your body is occupied doing something, and your mind can go wandering.
Yeah.
But I've never
and no radio and no talking and no phone calls,
you
because
can't talk
it's
just loud.
No. So yeah, there's a lot of solitude to think through stories and things at that time.
We don't get much of that anymore either. I think for those of us who are older, like there used to be lots of that kind of time before cell phones and stuff. You'd have lots of that kind of time when you were driving, or time when there wasn't something demanding your attention. I don't think we get as much of that anymore. So
yeah, now we're way too accessible. Usually, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that sounds wonderful, and I absolutely understand the reading to fill the well thing, and I will never turn down a good book recommendations.
Yes.
So, Jan, what about you? What do you do to refill things?
Well, I mean, I do read too, and I do like to read outside of my genre. Usually I go for like the paranormal romance, something very like adjacent.
Complete opposite. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise, for me, I'm a very I like motion. So like right now, my leg is jumping right now.
Yeah.
I don't sit still very well. So for me, when I am done writing, I find myself mentally exhausted, but I find myself like physically agitated. Mm-hmm. So for me, I really need to go work with my hands, or I need to go on a walk. And I live in Minnesota, so the walks are kind of hit or miss here right now. But I have a art background, so I bleed paint. I learned how to draw before I learned how to speak, kind of thing.
Do you keep a sketchbook?
No, not anymore. Again, it takes up too much space when you have like dozens upon dozens. I have to use that bookshelf space for more important things now. I did pyrography over the years, wood burning. Mm-hmm. I've done painting, I've done ceramics, I've done just sketching. I did a little bit of like graphic design stuff, but again, I'm also a very tactile person. So working on the computer more, it doesn't feel that well, as you said. Mm-hmm. So for me, what I have really gotten into lately has been like the polymer clay. So it takes up a much smaller space in the house instead of whatever. So
you too. Oh my goodness.
No, my sister made this. It's clay. See the little octopus? And all the little, isn't it adorable?
It is. What is he holding? Is it something you can put paper on?
Picture frame.
You can put like a business card or picture on it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So cool.
Yeah. And she also made this little owl.
Clay.
And I have a ghost too. He glows in the dark. They have glow in the dark polymer clay.
Okay, so I should be friends with your sister is what I'm hearing right now.
Yes.
Yes. So I have the same. I like to make functional art. So I have a bunch of magnets. I have like the earrings that I'm wearing. Otherwise, no, I'm doing.
Oh my goodness. I love the little food. I love the little food so much. Yes. After I saw your Instagram page, I told Natalie, and
is that sushi? That's adorable.
Well, I'm also a foodie. If I hadn't already mentioned that before, food. I'm always hungry. So there's something fun about it.
So cute.
Oh, it's so cute.
little bento boxes. Yeah. I know for me that I need to feed both sides of the brain. So if I'm not writing, I get agitated. If I'm not working with my hands, I feel very unbalanced. It's gotten so bad that my partner will look at me and be like, honey, when was the last time you built something? And I'll be like, it's been a while. Why? He's like, I just might want to just try. And, of course, I go over, I start working, all of a sudden it's like, thanks, honey.
I feel better.
Thank you. You're right. I'm
Smart
sorry.
person can ask the question instead of saying, go do that.
He knows.
Yes.
I don't know how other people work in their lives, but I can't ever choose. It's going to be art and writing for the rest of my life. And I love it.
You said you paint. Do you acrylic, oil, watercolor?
I have done all of it. I mostly stick with acrylic simply because it's easier to handle. Whereas oil, you need certain certain additives to help it dry and everything. Yeah. All of the oils have the much brighter colors that you just, it like sucks you in. Like I can feel that grass right now, but
yeah.
Again, painting, you get those huge canvases and they just take up so much space. So I like my miniatures because then I can give them away. I give them as gifts. I just did the takeover and I gave away a pair of my earrings and
fantastic.
Nice.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this because Margot also crochets and she had done some Afghans as giveaways in the readers group, and the first time she did it, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like
she gave away a whole Afghan. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
It was so pretty. It was so pretty. Yeah. But I think there's something about that having to find a way to use the different side of your brain. Project management probably does some of that too.
Yes.
Because
so like all day it's all the analytic side of your brain, like working through problems, and then in the evening is the creative side. In between there, I have a gym, and I run and I do kickboxing. So any frustrations through the day, I can punch them out in my gym, and then I'm ready to relax and sit again. Because I sit and then I come home and sit. It's just I needed a break in between that I'm not sitting. So
have you tried a standing desk? Do you ever work standing up?
I do. Yeah. I actually have a desk on my treadmill. So if I can type, if I just put it at a walk, I can type and walk. So I can actually write while I'm on a treadmill.
I should try that.
The writing part of it because I wanted to not have to think about two things at the same time, but editing and things and answering emails and all the admin tasks, I always felt like that was really easy to do at the tread desk.
Yeah.
And then I used to have a bouncy chair.
Yeah. The really important thing is if you're going to write on a treadmill desk is to turn your track for your mouse off, because as you're walking, if your palm touches the mouse, you can accidentally wipe out a huge bunch of what you've written.
I'm assuming you know this because this has happened.
Yes. Yes. That was it was only like maybe 2 paragraphs, but it still hurts,
Yeah. Every bit hurts when you have to work so hard for it. So
yeah. So yeah. So turn that.
That is solid advice. So
that is very solid advice.
Jam, you might want to try it if you're going to tap. If you're going to tap your leg while you're sitting instead, you could try walking. Writing. I did used to have one of those bouncy chairs, like they get for second graders.
Yeah.
And it lasted like a day and a half.
Because
I realized it turned up my music and bounced instead of it got nothing done. Like nothing done. Because you can do that without any skill level. It doesn't require any kind of manual dexterity to be able to bounce.
Yeah. And when I'm in my office chair, it turns, so I sit here and I swivel as I'm writing. I almost need to take Dramamine so I don't get motion sickness.
We've talked a little bit about working with your hands, and Jam, you said something about being a foodie. Do either of you like to cook? Or is it something you have?
I like to eat.
Yes. I like the results.
I am not the cook in the house. My wonderful husband is. So I also teach clay classes, and we do, instead of paint and pour, it's clay and confections. And my husband will make from scratch, like turtle cheesecake. He just made like a walnut carrot cake with homemade buttercream frosting.
Oh my
Make
goodness.
Nice.
macarons, like coffee macarons, strawberry shortcake macarons. I just get to sit back and eat it.
Aw.
Yes. Yeah.
This is
Same for
fantastic.
me. Same for me because I'm writing in the evening. My husband cooks and he has a smoker, so he's always like smoking some kind of meat or something.
Yeah, I miss having a
So.
smoker. Really still like that because if you have the smoked meat, you can kind of phone it in with the sides, and it's still really good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's on its own. So yeah. I like we smoke cheese. And I didn't ever really know you could do this, but it makes that smoky flavor in the cheese. So like when you make nachos and stuff, it's got that nice smoky
Oh, come
flavor
on, man.
to
That's
it.
like next level stuff.
It is, but I don't do it. He does it.
That's
Yeah.
okay. You still have your finger on the pulse of the source. It's like
Yes. Yep. So yeah. I used to like to bake, but I don't do a whole lot of that anymore because it's work and writing. So
What kind of things did you like to bake?
I made cheesecake. I used to do a good pumpkin cheesecake and coconut cream pie from scratch.
See, I love both
So.
of those things. I could come and visit.
Yes.
I know about where you are. So,
Yes. Yeah.
what about gardening?
So I have, we live on 50 acres and I don't have a garden because we have deer that would eat everything. And so we have a deck that's like up off the ground. And I thought, oh, well, I'll put like one of those deck boxes and the deer won't be able to come up on the deck and eat anything that way. And chipmunks came and ate everything.
Oh, no.
So I just gave up. So I just get my produce at the grocery store
Well,
or the farm stands
I was
near
going to
us.
say, the farmer's market's near you, so you should be able to have no trouble finding it.
Yeah, the other farms near me have stuff for sale at the end of their lane, and we just buy their stuff.
And send the chipmunks their way.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you, Jam?
I could kill a plastic plant.
Yeah, me too. Truth. Yeah, I killed a cactus before.
It's really sad because my brother actually has his own farm. The boy looks at soil and it grows things, and I'm like, what happened? Why did you get all of that?
My sister got it all too. She has the green thumb. Somebody gave me an orchid, and that's like the hardest plant. Like, and I gave it to her. I said somebody gave me obligation in a pot, and I'm passing it off to you. And she gets it to bloom like all the time. And it would have been long dead if I had kept it. So
there must be something in the chemistry. Like plants know.
Yes.
There must be something we exhale. Like, no, not you.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know when to pass them on, so that they have
right
a chance.
Before it's too late.
Well, ladies, it was delightful talking to you this week. I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you taking the time to let us have a glimpse inside of your non-writing selves too. So that's
thank you.
I think that's always as readers, like I get fascinated by getting to see little bits of my favorite authors' real lives. So I really appreciate you being open about that. I'm going to put the links to the books, all three of the books, in the comments. So if you haven't gotten them, you can get them now. And I'm going to say the same thing I say like every week, which I ought to have a button that said it instead of me having to say, which is that Dragonblade books are the best deal on pre-order and release, because they are. They're less than $1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the best, the very best deal. But if you don't happen to get them, then you can always read in Kindle Unlimited. So, ladies, thanks again for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So see you back here next week.